There is something so hollow about waving a flag for justice at home while funding injustice abroad. We talk about healthcare as a human right. We say housing is a human right. We say Black Lives Matter. We say immigrant families deserve dignity. But every year, hundreds of billions of dollars leave our communities and flow into weapons contracts, foreign military aid, and endless wars that most Americans cannot even locate on a freaking map. You can't tell a mother in Detroit that there isn't money for clean water and, in that same breath, approve another military package overseas. The United States spends more on its military than the next several countries combined. It sends billions in military aid to allies like Israel, while millions of Americans ration insulin, delay cancer treatment, or drown in medical debt. It is an economic and moral contradiction. When Martin Luther King Jr. spoke against the Vietnam War, he called the United States the greatest purveyor of violence in the world. He warned that a nation spending more on war than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death. He was linking racism, poverty, and militarism into a single architecture, not separate issues, because it is one system. Empire requires hierarchy. It requires the belief that some lives are strategic assets and others are collateral damage. That belief does not stay neatly contained at the border. It seeps inward. It shapes policing. It shapes immigration policy. It shapes whose suffering is televised and whose is ignored. So when leftists refuse to vote for polished politicians like Gavin Newsom, it isn't always apathy. It isn't always immaturity. Sometimes it is a refusal to split the world into acceptable violence and unacceptable violence. A refusal to cheer for progressive language at home while bombs fall elsewhere with our tax dollars attached. Because what the fuck does freedom even mean if it is geographically selective? What does healthcare as a human right mean if we help fund policies that deny safety and survival to people beyond our borders? You cannot build a truly liberated society on top of a global system that depends on domination. You might soften it. You might reform parts of it. But there will always be a fracture in the foundation. That doesn't mean domestic progress is impossible while foreign policy remains unchanged. History shows partial progress is possible, but partial progress carries a tension, a moral dissonance, when the same government expanding rights in one place is underwriting suffering in another. The argument is not just strategic, it is existential. A country cannot claim to be free while financing the unfreedom of others. A democracy cannot preach human rights while exporting weapons into occupation and war. And voters who see that contradiction are not disengaged. They are unwilling to participate in a story that feels spiritually inconsistent. Whether you agree or disagree, that position is not naive. It is a demand for coherence. And coherence in politics is rare.